Today I'm looking at Hook Theory and their resource that they have, the popular chord progressions. If you load up this page, you can actually have a listen and a look at some of the most popular chord progressions. So here is an example. Now that one is often known as the 4-chord song or the Axis of Awesome progression. And if you haven't watched the Axis of Awesome 4-chord video, you really should. It's a lot of fun and points out just how many songs actually use that progression. So that's probably the progression I'll use today, but I just want to show you a couple more. You've got the Pachelbel's canon progression. Okay, and that keeps moving around. A few great songs there use that progression. Here's another one that starts on an A minor and moves down and then back up. Okay, so some examples of some cool chord progressions you could use. I'm going to come over to that first one. Now we can call that a 1-5-6-4 progression, but essentially if we're in the key of C, the good thing is it's only going to use white notes. So there's nothing too fancy, and I'm going to show you how to do this on the push device. Alright, so I've got a piano set up here. I'm going to turn on the metronome, and I feel the tempo should be about 1, 2, 3, 4. I've done that. Click stop there. I did that by tapping with my mouse here, and I could have equally done the tap tempo over here. Okay, so that's set around about 90. I'm going to say 90 and type that in. All right. Now I have my metronome on. Make sure that is on. You might choose the option to enable only while recording, or like me, just have it on all the time until I get a drum part recorded. So what I'm going to do is, if I'm doing a 1-5-6-4 progression in the key of C, my scale is already set up on C major. I don't have to change that, which means the yellow ones here are the root note, which is C. That's the key note, okay? So if that's C, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. All right, so that is the scale. I'm going to show you how to do chords using what I call the Mickey Mouse shape. So if I'm doing a C chord, the root note is Mickey's head. That there is a C major chord. Now, if I want to do the 5 chord, which is the key, which is a G, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I could do it over here, or I could even do it here. But I think it's quite easy. Check out from this C, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's actually a G, directly below that C. So I'm going to go C to G, A to F. Now that's how I do my bass line using those notes. I'm going to jump straight to chords, doing my Mickey Mouse with my thumb on those root notes. Let's have a go. I'm going to hit record. Okay, and I just did a bar per chord. I'm going to do a variation on that. So if I click the new button, I'm now going to try some kind of rhythm. Cool, I'm going to do a little rhythm like that. So if I hit record now, it will record into the second clip. Okay, so I did a repetitive rhythm and just altered it a little bit in that last bar. The mood arose, so I just did it. I'm going to hit quantize. Have a listen to that. Now that rhythm, I might actually replicate that rhythm on a bass. I'm going to choose this electric basic bass and drop it into a new track. It has a little think. I'll put that as my track 2 since I haven't done my drums yet. I'm going to try now doing the bass part. Now, if I look at my bass part here, I can just use the mouse wheel to slide around. I can even come over to the left of the piano roll and click with that magnifying glass, and I can just zoom in and out by going left and right there, or even slide up and down. That way, if I did want to move any notes around, I could try some things out. So have a listen again. I'm going to hit quantize. Notice the clip needs cropping. Okay, it went for 5 bars. I'm going to go back to the end of the 4th bar so it wraps around nicely there. So that is how we record in a chord progression, and including the piano part and a bass part. I could then actually start to put some melodies in there, and rather than using the whole major scale, I might actually limit it to the C major pentatonic scale. So if I come over to scale, I can then note that the root note is on C, and I'm going to choose the major pentatonic and hit scale. Now I should have 1, 2, 3, 5, 6 in that key. Okay, so I've got that scale selected. Let's add a new track using the push device. I'm going to hit add track. We want a MIDI track, so I won't touch that rotary. I'll come over to sounds. Let's choose a mallet sound. That's kind of cool. I'll give that a go. Let's see if that works. Okay, so let's just have a bit of a jam. I'll hit record. Now I feel like that melody actually worked out quite well. Now you might be wondering, how did I not hit any wrong notes? The pentatonic scale, it is the money scale. So I will just move that down. I might quantize it. Actually, let's listen to it without quantizing. With the exception of that last note, it actually had a bit of a groove to it. If I hit quantize, it might take some of the humanity out of it. So let's leave it. Let's come up with a new melody. Once again, I'll crop that back to 4 bars, and let's have a listen to that one. Now take note, I chose to use a bit of repetition. I've kind of got a call and a response, and then I go back to the same call again and a different response. I've used this little motif of that D, D, C, and I've done something different and come back to my D, D, C. So think about using some kind of repetition in your phrase. Familiarity and repetition are good things in moderation. Obviously, you don't just repeat the same thing over and over unless that's an effect you're going for. Let's just do 1/3 attempt at a melody. Now look, what happens if you do something and it's out of time? Just hit delete, have another go. Cool. And that time I stopped it early enough that Ableton figured out I only want 4 bars. I did not have to adjust and crop my loop then. I'm going to quantize that one, and I'm going to have a listen to it. Alright, Alright, so I've got those 3 different melodies. I'm just going to quickly lay down a drum beat. Let's just hit record. Okay, so I'm going to quantize that because I was a bit loose. I might actually hit duplicate. And on the duplicate right here, I will overdub some hi-hats. Now, I feel like I came up with a good groove in the second half of that. So I'm actually going to quantize it. I'm going to delete the first half of my hi-hats. And I'm just going to copy the second half of my hi-hats, making sure though, I should not include that rest before it. So I'm going to start tight on that note. I'm going to hit Control C, click back at the start and hit Control V. And let's see what we got there. At this point, I'm going to switch my metronome to enable only while recording, because when you're playing back your tune, you don't want to hear the metronome all the time. Alright, I reckon I'll overdub a cowbell. I'm going to duplicate it again, and I'm going to just add a cowbell in there with a bit of a clave rhythm. It's a 3/2 son clave. Cool. And I should have done it the whole length, but I didn't. I'm going to quantize it, copy those cowbells across, and paste them into the second half of my clip there. And we've got now the 3 levels of drums, starting without any hats, and then it adds the hats. Now I'm actually liking that as my first melody. Now the reason I'm organizing it this way is I'm going to show you how to do an arrangement. Let's just have a listen what it sounds like here. I think the bass is pretty necessary. I'm going to copy that one, hold Control on a Windows machine and drag that. I'm going to call this one 1, this can be 2, and this can be 3. And I could even color code them. I could say that color, and this color. I'm actually going to hit stop here. And then if I hit this record button, it's going to record an arrangement. Okay, so if I look over in the arrangement view, I'm going to click this button back to arrangement. If I want to actually export, firstly I'd obviously save my work, save my live set. I'm going to save it on my D drive, and then on most of our computers at school here, we've got a student work folder, and then within that you'd put your own name. I would give this one a name, 4 chord song 1, I'm going to save it to be able to share it as an MP3 file, export audio, and ensure that MP3 is on. Take note of the starting point, good, 1.1.1, and the length is about right for what I just did. So I'm going to hit export, confirm it's going in the folder I want, and it's going to be called 4-chord song 1. You could even give it version numbers if you're going to keep mixing, like V1.0, and save it. So that has exported my track as both a WAV file and an MP3. The MP3 is a smaller one for sharing. The WAV file is a higher quality one you might use if you upload it to Spotify or something like that. So there we are. We have used some techniques to choose a chord progression. Chord progressions are definitely not copyrightable. You look how many tunes use the same chord progressions. So melodies you can't steal, but chord progressions, why not use a tried and true chord progression that people have heard before and that they want to hear again? And I have chosen the 4-chord Axis of Awesome progression, and then I've taken it into Ableton. I have played the chords using my Mickey Mouse shapes, and then I've put a bass on the root note of those chords, and I've set my melody to a major pentatonic melody. Listen to how many songs are made with pentatonic scales, and you would be surprised. Then I've also just done some variations with my drum kit using the push pad. So I hope all those steps were helpful for you, and that you could actually choose a different chord progression or the same one, and just go about things a little bit differently, like come up with your own melodies. I'd suggest using the pentatonic scale. And you noticed how I did use a bit of repetition. Simplicity and repetition are great in pop music. Good luck.